My name's Denise Waite. I did grow up in Airedale. I lived on Crewe Road for about 20 years. That was, my dad worked in the pit at Fryston Pit. So those houses were built for employees of the pit actually. So they were called pit houses. My mum still lives there today, which is quite nice. Airedale was very different then to what it is now. But I had a lot of fun in Airedale. Lots of free time, really. I think it's very different now. You can't particularly let your children wander about, but in those days we did. So we used to meet up with all our pals who lived next door or up the street, and off we'd go. So yeah, very, very good childhood. I'd been watching Castleford since I was 11 years old, actually, so always a rugby fan. The first memory I think I've got, I went with my sister, and I kind of looked like the Michelin Men because it was in winter, because that's when the sport was played in winter, and I had so many layers on, it was unbelievable. I probably looked about 20 stone, I think, in the, but really, really enjoyed it. Just loved the atmosphere and what was happening on the pitch. Yeah, I was hooked from then, I think. My brother-in-law actually played for Castleford professionally, also played for Wigan and played in Australia. So, and my nephew also played professional rugby league. I think it probably all did start with Daniel getting involved. Where I live now, in Half Acres, I live next to a school field, and Half Acres had a rugby team. From the age of 3, Daniel always wanted to join the rugby team. Unfortunately, he wasn't old enough at that point. He couldn't play until he was 8 years old. But he used to go and kick the ball about, and all the lads who were 15, 16-year-old used to, kick the ball to him and things. And then they decided to stop at under-15s, and the team that was playing at that present time wanted to carry on as an under-16 team, but Yorkshire Junior League only did up to 15s, so it meant you going into the Yorkshire Youth, and Half Acres Club they didn't want to do that, basically. So because we were there and Daniel was there, they asked us, the coaches asked us if we'd take the team on, and that's how we got involved in it. So that first team we had, and we still trained on the Half Acres field, but at the top end when Half Acres were down at the bottom end, we put some floodlights on the side of our house so they would be able to see to train. And then we started fundraising. We went on Castleford Market with second-hand goods, what we'd got donated from the parents. And then we used to go to Sporthorn Club and do a meat raffle. And that's how we raised funds to begin with. All the lads used to get changed in my kitchen, would you believe, as well. So you can imagine the dirt and mud and everything about in my kitchen when they'd all left, yeah. I think just the involvement with kids, really. And, I always say we've had a lot of kids through, obviously when we went on then to run Smallthorne, which we had every age group between under 8s to under 16s, and plus we had a girls' team as well. And in all that time, as far as I'm aware, we only had one child that were ever in trouble with the police. So I think it was the reward, seeing them develop on the rugby field, seeing them develop their skills, their people skills, and being part of a team. I think that's really important to children to feel part of a team and develop the skills. Lots and lots of changes in the sport. When I first got involved, the littler ones played full games for a start, and then it went to mini mod. So there's a mini league now and a mod league where they only play so many aside. They play short on a shorter pitch. Coaching definitely changed a lot. It was kind of somebody's dad offered to coach. That's no longer allowed, unless, of course, they go through all the qualifications. I think the touchline, because obviously when your little Johnny's playing, you want your little Johnny to do well, and he's shouting and bawling if anybody tackles him and things like that. I think it was introduced where each club had to have kind of a touchline supervisor for each age group. So it's become a lot more streamlined, and rightly so, I think. I wouldn't say I had a favourite moment. I used to like the end of season presentations when the kids get a trophy and seeing the faces when they get a trophy. But I can't think of any one favourite moment, to be honest with you. I think having all the age groups that we managed to get, because we only started with one team, so to get to having 8 teams and a girls' team was quite pleasing. And I think the girls' team was a big achievement, actually, because there weren't many girls' teams around at that time, so that was a big achievement to get a girls' team. And we had Tara Nicow, who coached them with his wife Letitia. So yeah, that were friends of ours, so that were quite good. So all the amateur leagues have to be affiliated to Bala, that's their governing body. And we had quite a few issues with Bala. They didn't seem to recognise junior rugby. They were more focused on open age, in our opinion. And a lot of the rules that juniors had to follow were really too strict for junior clubs. You know, it's not serious at that age. We want it to be fun, don't we? We don't want to win at all costs. We want it to be fun. So quite a lot of the rules, and we used to have our own disciplinary committee at Yorkshire Junior, and if the club didn't agree with the decision that we'd made, they could appeal to Bala, which they did on quite a few occasions, and Bala upheld the club's appeal on a lot of occasions, which went against their rules. So there was quite a lot of issues. So we decided that we didn't want to be in Bala anymore. So we wrote to them and said, we're not going to be with you anymore. We're going to pull out of Bala. At which point there was lots and lots going on. They threatened to stop all referees refereeing our junior games. They also said that we wouldn't be able to play because we didn't have any insurance, and we couldn't get any insurance when in fact we could, because we found a company called Bartlett that would insure clubs and teams. We had a meeting with the Rugby Football League, who at that time was Richard Lewis, and he wanted Yorkshire Juniors to join the Rugby Football League because the Rugby Football League and Bala were having problems. They were kind of falling out between themselves. So yeah, it wasn't a very good time, but I believe that you've got to stand up for your rights and what's right, and what's wrong. There's a rule book there and it should be followed. I think rugby league as a sport is dying. If you look at the facts and figures of gates that clubs are getting, they're falling. I think another reason is they are changing the rules all the time to bring it in line with Australian Rugby League. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. I also think that Sky has a big impact on Rugby League. The games they show on Sky, for example, Castleford Tigers were on 11 weeks on Sky on the Trot. Now, Castleford are not doing very well at the moment, but people just get bored of seeing them. And that's on social media, that's been said. The other thing is that if it's shown on Sky, people won't go and watch it. They won't pay £22, £24 for a ticket or as an entrance fee when you can watch it on your TV. They do get paid from Sky, obviously, but there's nothing like going to a ground when, it's full of people and there's a brilliant atmosphere. When games are on Sky, particularly on a Thursday night, that's another thing that I don't like about Sky. They show games on a Thursday night and a Friday night. So on a Thursday night, if Castleford are playing Wigan, people don't want to be going across to Wigan on a Thursday night. If it's on a Friday night, I won't go anywhere on the M62 on a Friday night. Women's Rugby League, I think, has been there or thereabouts for a few years now, but it's seemed to have gone under the radar. Quite recently now it's becoming more popular, and Castleford Tigers have obviously got a really good ladies side at the moment. And if you look at the attendances when Castleford are playing down the lane, they're just growing and growing and growing. So yeah, I think that's fantastic. Women's Rugby League, definitely.